Broadcasting from Charlotte, North Carolina, on Sports Byline USA, uniting sports fans everywhere. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
If God wasn't in my life, I really don't know how I would get through it, how I would play this game.
For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world.
As people, we get caught up in, I can do it, without allowing God to come and work and actually be the center of it all.
Bringing you high energy and thought-provoking sports talk with a purpose.
He knows I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be right all the time, but I'm going to continue to love him first and foremost.
Now, from his mic to your ears, this is Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to Unpacking It, where we unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. I'm Bryce Johnson. So glad to be with you today. We've got an awesome show in store as we will be joined by ESPN college football analyst David Pollack. And he's one of my favorite guests to come on the show. And he's been on a couple times and always is willing to talk about his faith, but we'll talk football and family and broadcasting. And I really believe that College Gameday is a top, I don't know, at least top 5, maybe top 3 sports show on TV. Now, I think PTI, I think Inside the NBA, I think College Gameday is probably right there. And then, of course, you've got Sports Center, which is just kind of a staple sports show. But, man, College Gameday, so Pollack joined a few years ago and has really been a nice addition with Herb Street and Reese Davis and the rest of the crew. So we'll catch up with David Pollack here in just a little bit. And then toward the end of the show, we'll do our segment, Unpack This, about the Buffalo Bills and something that Sean McDermott, their head coach, did as far as sending a letter to season ticket holders and what he said. And so I want to unpack that a little bit because I think it's really interesting and I think it can encourage all of us today. Be sure to check out our website, unpackingit.com. You can sign up to receive the free email devotional that we send out Monday through Friday by going to our website, unpackingit.com. You can also email me, bryce@unpackingit.com. When we return, David Pollack joins us right here on Unpacking It.
Inspiring conversations and intriguing interviews. More Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson after this. Bringing you unique insight into the faith and character of guests from the sports world. Welcome back to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
It's Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson, unpackingit.com. And joining us now is David Pollack, a top college football analyst for ESPN, and you can see him on College Gameday every Saturday during the fall. He played his college football at the University of Georgia, where he won the SEC Player of the Year award and was also recognized as the top defensive player in the nation. He was drafted in the first round of the 2005 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals, and in 2008, he retired due to a major neck injury. He is a husband and a father of 2 and helps run the Pollack Family Foundation. I'm thrilled to welcome David Pollack back on Unpacking It. David, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
No problem, man. I'm doing great, man. Let's unpack it some more, dog. What you got?
Here we go. Well, first off, what was the summer like for you and kind of the off season? What were some of the highlights for you and the family?
The same. As soon as I get done with football every year, I travel all over the country for that 6-month period, and then my wife's ready to travel all over the country. So it's awesome. It's just great. So we travel, and we went to the beach just like a lot of people get to do in the summertime. We went to Niagara Falls, which was pretty cool, in Toronto. We were actually at Niagara Falls on the 59th anniversary of the last person that went over the falls and lived.
Wow.
And it was crazy. It was a 7-year-old boy that the boat crashed above the falls, and he kind of got caught up and then ended up getting tossed over and actually lived. And that morning at 4 a.m., somebody climbed over the fence, literally jumped off the falls, while we were there. I got at least 15 text messages of people saying, "Was it you?" And I was like, "Come on, bro, no."
Whoa.
And lived. Obviously, it's the last person that's jumped off and lived. So that was kind of entertaining. We'll never forget that that event this summer. That's for sure.
Holy cow. Well, so what was kind of the story there?
I don't know. I don't think it was a good one, bro. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a good one. But the ending, at least he survived and made it. But
yeah,
the summer was fun. It was awesome, and now you can just smell it. Like football's back. And it's funny, everybody else gets so jacked up and excited, like the best time of year. I do too, and I get jacked up with them. And I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of got to work though. So that might be the only downside for me. But it was a great summer for us.
You're back at it. Before we talk about the upcoming season, I wanted to go back a few months because the College Gameday crew was a part of the NFL draft this year on ABC. And I loved watching you guys. I thought it was a nice touch this year. What was your experience like being a part of all that?
It was really cool. It was just very unique and different because you got to remember, ESPN comes on and they're going to tell you about, Kyler Murray's 5'9.5", and his hands are X, and he ran this kind of system and blah blah blah. And we're kind of and on ABC we were like, all right, we'll do the draft at the same time. And we're going to tell you about Kyler Murray and his family.
Yep.
And we're going to tell you about Kyler Murray and his dad, and do more stories. And I think there was a bunch of them that touched a lot of people, like Josh Jacobs going to Oakland and talked about he lived in his dad with 4 brothers. He lived in a car for a little while, and the only big time scholarship offer he had was Alabama, and he went to Alabama and had a great career. And so we kind of told the other side of the story as opposed to the straight, this guy's this tall, this guy fits in an NFL system. And it was a success, and Nashville was lit, man. It was unbelievable. Like, it was nuts. If you took Philadelphia, New York, and Dallas, the last 3 drafts we went to, and combined them, you barely fit it in Nashville. I mean, Nashville showed up and showed out, so it was a good time.
It seemed like a blast, and like I said, I enjoyed kind of the different approach that you guys took, and I like some of those stories. It was a lot of fun. David Pollack, our guest right now on Unpacking It. Now, of course, speaking of the draft, now you're a college football guy. You watch tons of game film. You're at games all year long, all that sort of thing. What is your kind of connection to the NFL at this point? How closely do you follow it, and what kind of interest level do you have in the NFL?
I'm just like anybody else, man. I like to watch it. I like to follow it. It's funny because every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, yeah, Pat Mahomes, he played at Texas Tech. Yeah, he played baseball and played football, and I remember interviewing him and sitting down with him in production meetings. And so you kind of think about the backdrop for a lot of those guys, and you're just like, oh, yeah, we basically – my son, he gets annoyed with me because he'll be watching a game and be like, somebody makes a tackle. I'm like, oh, Boise State. Thanks, Dad. We didn't need to know that. But I'm a fan. I like fantasy football. Me and my son have a team every year in fantasy football, so that's always fun. And that kind of makes you watch. And from a different perspective, though, a selfish perspective, you definitely don't watch it as a true fan. But I always follow the Bengals, too. I'll be forever grateful for them investing in me and believing in me. And I wish I could have made a bigger return on that investment, but it definitely didn't happen. But I definitely always keep an eye on them.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking about the Bengals, I was going to actually ask you about Marvin Lewis, because this is the first time we're going to see the Bengals with a new head coach on the sideline in a long time. What did you kind of think ultimately of his career, and was there anything in particular with your relationship and the impact that maybe he had on you during your short time in Cincinnati?
Well, Marvin Lewis is a phenomenal human being, a phenomenal man, and a really, really, really good coach, too. The Bengals have struggles as an organization, and that they haven't had a lot of success, and I don't think it's because of Marvin Lewis. I think there's other factors that go into that. But, from day one, Marvin was like, you're going to come in here and you're going to be a leader, and really wanted to change the culture of Cincinnati. And good Marvin Lewis story for you. He coached, so I don't know if you know this, but he was at the Steelers for a long time. Coached there, and he had outside backers, Kevin Green, and he had Lloyd, and he had all these guys that were really, really good. And I remember coming in, he was like, you're going to be my, so-and-so, and oh, sweet, Levon Kirkland, all those guys. And then I was like, okay, and I came in, and he had a number in my locker when I got there, the day of the draft. It was the night of the draft, 99 for the Bengals. And I was like, hey, Coach, I like 99, but, I was 47. I'd love to be 47. He's like, no, I really like 99. And I was like, I do too, Coach. I mean, I'm not telling you it's a bad number, but I'd prefer to have, 47. He's like, well, I love 99. And I was like, I love 99 too. Let's go. You know, so we were 99. And
There you go.
But no, great man. He had a great family. Peggy was awesome too, his wife, and he did a good job for a long time. I think people looked at the playoff burst for them and not getting out of the first round, and they're like, how does he not do that? I think you'll see now without him there that it's not as easy to get to the playoffs all the time.
That's right. And just his ability to sustain year after year says a lot about him and his longevity for sure. David Pollack, our guest right now on Unpacking It, college football analyst at ESPN, and of course, one of the stars on College Gameday. And so I'm curious, as we head into another season, and everybody loves College Gameday. It's what starts Saturday, and it just makes the fall. And because the show has been so successful for so long, I wonder, like in meetings before the season and as you guys kind of discussed throughout the year, how much do you guys try to change the show or tweak the show? But at the other side of things, you want to keep it the same. It's been working. So what's kind of that approach to the actual show and kind of the progression of the show over the years?
It's just like anything else. You know, it doesn't matter how good something is. There's always ways to make it better. Now, we were just in Charlotte making meetings, and we were talking about that this summer. And how do we advance the ball, and how do we get better? And we do it every year. We get together every year and have that conversation, and we came up with ideas and different things that, this might be better, this might be better. And, you know, like this year we have a new desk and a new set that is really, really cool, a new design of the set and desk. But we're always trying to find an edge and always trying to find something that you can do different to make it better. The world's changing too, dude. I mean, it's not like it's going to be the same all the time, and there's going to be, you know, more social media gets brought into it the more the years go on, and, you know, more features and more pieces and more things that get you up to date on certain things. So it's definitely always a work in progress. But any business, any show, any corporation that's ultra successful are always trying to find ways to tweak things and get better.
Absolutely. It makes sense. And, you know, I compare College Gameday to Inside the NBA and Pardon the Interruption, just as shows that have been consistent for so long. But then at the same time, they do make tweaks, and it just continues to get better. And I love watching it year after year, all three of those. But, David, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about you as an analyst. Also want to get your thoughts on Dabo Swinney, Clemson, and in your perspective, your relationship with Coach Swinney. And so we got plenty more with David Pollack, ESPN analyst, with us right now on Unpacking It. More with David right after this. Be sure to check out our website, unpackingit.com.
Intriguing guests and inspiring conversations. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
Thanks so much for joining us on Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. It's the show that unpacks sports, faith, and life. You can check out our website, unpackingit.com. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to the weekday email devotional that we call Unpack This. You can sign up for free. And then also at the end of the show, we'll do the radio version of Unpack This. And I've got some thoughts on having a championship vision and what that means in football and what that looks like in our own lives. And so you'll want to stick around toward the end of the show. We'll do that. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the Unpacking It podcast, be sure to do that as well. You can subscribe anywhere podcasts are found. Just search the Unpacking It podcast. Well, we're in the middle of a conversation with ESPN college football analyst David Pollack, and we always love having him on the show. And so we're going to continue the conversation with him now. What about for you personally as an analyst? Like, what do you do to get better? Do you end up watching kind of, game film of yourself as an analyst? Do you work with coaches? What's kind of your strategy personally?
Yeah, I personally don't like a lot of people, I don't like looking at myself on camera or hearing myself because you realize how annoying you sound. But no, my evolution has continued to grow, and what I read on leadership, what I read on football, what I go visit, because I usually go visit several schools every off season and try to ask about. Me and Gene Chiswick have done it for a couple of years. Is just to, okay, we want to learn about RPOs. Let's go to Texas. We want to learn about this. Let's go here. Let's go here. We want to learn about X. We go to see different schools. So it's a fun thing, but you got to keep up with the game, because just like anything else, the games have new trends every year too. And I really liked what so-and-so did. Let's go look at it in more depth and figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it, and just try to learn as much as I can, absorb as much as I can. My job isn't to tell you the greatest little nuance about a right guard, but I need to be able to watch every single play and know what they like to do, why they like to do it, how it fits, all that stuff that will make me better in the future. And if I can do off-season studies of running backs, and I can go ahead and get my eyes on the top running backs like DeAndre Swift next year and watch him and what makes him special, what makes him unique. And then when the season starts, now I just plug it in and go, okay, I want to find some examples. Well, this was an example I found last year and the year before, and just kind of evolve, learn the new guys, because a lot of highly recruited, high-profile guys come in every single year. And for me, it's making sure I know and stay on top of that. So just continue to study and learn and grow and try to figure out what the next step is in football.
That's awesome. I love it. David Pollack, our guest right now on Unpacking It, college football analyst for ESPN. And so you mentioned that you try to visit some schools in the offseason. Did you end up doing that this offseason? Where'd you go?
Yeah, we actually have a couple things planned to go. Me and Chiswick are going to go to Texas, and then in Maryland. I'm going to the University of Georgia soon. So several spots preseason that we'll go visit and see and talk to those cats and figure out what they're doing and what they're going to be in this fall. I think Texas will be a team that we talked about a lot. Georgia will be a team that'll be talked about a lot. So those will be fun studies, and they played each other in the Sugar Bowl last year too, which was not fun for Georgia fans.
No, that's right. Absolutely. Well, in talking about the upcoming season, is there an underrated team heading into the year that maybe you're higher on than most?
Every year we do this, and I think the definition of underrated, first of all, I think everybody's underrated except for Alabama and Clemson. I mean, who the heck? It's basically, okay, everybody's got Alabama, everybody's got Clemson in there. Let's just go from there. Where else are we gonna find playoff teams? When I pick a national champion, I think it's got to have a couple of things. First of all, defense does win championships, but not really that much anymore. Okay, let's be honest. You've got to be able to score.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have weapons. You've got to have a quarterback that can make plays and go tick for tack when you face teams that are one-sided, but their one-trick pony is so good, like Oklahoma in the last several years. So I think if it's Alabama, it's Clemson, and then I think it's everybody else that's going to be left out. I think Georgia has a good chance because defensively, I think they're going to have something they haven't had in a long time, which is some pass rushers. And, Jermaine Johnson coming in, and they haven't had a guy, get 10 sacks or get double-digit sacks or put fear in people in a long time, even though they've been very successful. And I think they're going to have that with Anderson and Cox and Johnson and Dean. They're going to have several guys that are going to come in right now and have impacts that have been there for the last couple seasons. When you look at teams across the country, like Syracuse had a great year last year. I think Syracuse is a team that's going to have another sneaky good year this year. And I think they'll be a 9-win, 10-win team because I think they run a phenomenal offense. And Dino Babers is one of the most underrated coaches in college football. Nebraska's a team that's starting to get a lot of love. That they were a team that was 5 wins last year.
Yeah. And
first year, Scott Frost was shipping everybody out and having a lot of problems. And then this year, you see a lot of big things coming. Adrian Martinez is a quarterback that everybody will know pretty shortly if they don't know him already for Nebraska. That was a true freshman a year ago. He's got some magic to him, man. He's big, thick, can break tackles, can run, but also poised and can throw the football, all over the yard. So I think everybody besides Alabama and Clemson is up for this conversation. I think Texas will be really good. It's still Alabama and Clemson's world that we're just living in.
No, it's so true. David Pollack, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And so as you say that, and we talk about it as fans and the media just kind of, there's this understanding, all right, Clemson, Alabama, they're the teams to beat. Is that a good thing, bad thing? What are the pros and cons of just that reality that it has been Clemson, Alabama the last few years, and it appears to be that way again?
Well, obviously the cons of that is going to be everybody's going to look and go, crap. Well, we know 2 of the 4 things. That's kind of annoying. I think everybody will say that, but the road to get there is going to be fun to watch either way. And you have villains, which I think make the sport good because Clemson's been the underdog, the consummate. Hey, go get they were the little guy that beat Alabama a couple of years ago. And everybody was like jacked out of their mind. Now everybody's going to get tired of Clemson, and they're winning. So, and I've been around the game now for a while, and everything's cyclical, man. Everything comes in cycles, and when you got great coaches like Nick and Dabo, it runs to success for a long period of time, and they're going to continue to be there, and it's going to be annoying to some, but it's also going to be good. Listen, football is in a great spot. College football continues to grow every year and have more fans, and listen, more people are invited. Can you think about, just think about what we have right now with Clemson and Alabama, and think about if we had the BCS system still.
Ooh.
We wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Now at least we have things we can talk about because there's 4 spots regardless. And those 3 have been in the last 3 years and played each other the last 3 years. But now we got other teams that can play spoiler with Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan and these teams that are going to be, right there hopefully at the end of the season and maybe spoil somebody's dreams.
David Pollack with us right now on Unpacking It, college football analyst for ESPN. And you can't talk about Clemson without talking about Dabo Swinney. And so I'm curious your perspective kind of just on him as they win another championship and they gear up to prepare for another one this year. Just your perspective as an analyst, as a former player, and also as a fellow believer, just the impact that Dabo has had on Clemson, college football, and really just on coaching in general. What are your kind of main opinions about him?
Dabo is the man. That's my opinion.
I mean,
I didn't think it was possible to not be a dictator and not be a on to the next guy, like enforcer, driver, no fun guy. I didn't know if it was. I didn't think it was possible to win and not be a Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Jimbo Fisher kind of guy. Dabo just proved us all wrong multiple times now. He doesn't lead from a place of authority and a place of being a dictator. He leads from a place of love. And he loves on his guys, and it's a relationship. It's not a dictatorship. And yes, he holds them accountable. He's not out there practicing like, yeah, you're the best guys. I mean, he's out there getting after his guys, but he just loves on them. And he's the ultimate underdog in his career. And he was, selling real estate years and years ago, and then we didn't know if he was going to coach, and he was a walk-on at Alabama, and just kind of, then all of a sudden he's a wide receivers coach at Clemson, and Coach Tommy Bowden gets fired, and they're like, all right, who's the guy? All right, it's Dabo Swinney. Who's this guy? And then never been a coordinator, never been a, offensive or defensive coordinator, but just steps in and starts winning, and the rest has been history. So just change the formation of the landscape. I love the guy. I don't talk to many coaches in college football. I keep an arm's length from everybody so I can do my job very effectively. But Dabo is a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And if you're saying my son, he wants to play for one person, it's him because he leads with strong faith and strong conviction and has incredible relationships with his players.
It's incredible, and I had the opportunity to meet him this offseason, and he lived up to what you'd hope a guy would be, and how he's kind of comes across, on TV and in the media. That's how he is behind the scenes, and it's just so cool to know that and see that. And so his success, you just root for him. You can't help but root for him. However, with that said, anytime a team, a player, or a coach reaches the top, that means everybody's trying to take them down. So there will be a big, anti-Clemson contingency out there as well. And of course, when they're the reigning champs and teams are out to get them, it adds to the intrigue. But I'm on the side where I love seeing Clemson win, and I find myself rooting for them regularly. So we're going to take a quick break with David Pollack, ESPN college football analyst, Plenty more with him when we return right here on Unpacking It and unpackingit.com. Hey, it's Bryce Johnson, and it is time to start thinking about the upcoming fantasy football season. And good news, Unpacking It Ministries has a resource for you that will take you from the draft all the way through the championship. Order your Fantasy Football Fellowship playbook today, and each week, read about a fantasy concept and how it relates to the Bible and our own lives. It's designed for your league to discuss at weekly league meetings, on the phone, or in person. The FFF playbook will add more meaning and purpose to the fantasy season and add value to your league. Grow in your faith, build deeper relationships with other owners in the league, and make more of your fantasy season. Join us at fantasyfootballfellowship.org and find all the details and order the FFF playbook today. That's fantasyfootballfellowship.org.
Bringing you unique insight into the faith and character of guests from the sports world. Welcome back to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
We're unpacking sports, faith, and life right here on Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson, unpackingit.com. David Pollack is our guest right now, and we're going to do a third segment with him, and so always appreciate him being a part of the show and taking the time to join us right before the college football season starts and right before his busy schedule gets going. And so let's continue with ESPN college football analyst David Pollack right now. And so we love talking football here on the show, but as you know, we love talking faith. And so as you look back at the last year and kind of the last time we talked, what have you kind of been learning? What have you maybe seen God do in your life? Some things that you're growing, maybe personally and spiritually.
I think for me, the older I get, the more you realize that how much accountability matters in every facet. But I have a buddy of mine that we text and we do devotionals together, and we'll literally send texts. And he texted me a couple of days ago, and I texted him. I said, "What's your weekly goals?" One of the things I've started doing is just keeping a journal, and every Sunday they don't have to be read 1,600 pages of a book. Like this week, I have goals I have an exercise goal of what I want to accomplish. I have a reading goal of what I want to accomplish. I have a goal of I want to compliment my spouse 3 times a day. Cute, like find 3 good things to say. I've done with my kids and make sure I tell them I love them 3 times. A day this week, and just I think for me a good dose of accountability and making small short-term goals for the week, for the day, that helps me stay focused. You see a lot more as you get older, and you see more struggle, and you see more hard times. And I think I'm starting to do a lot better job of appreciating hard times and trying to be there for people in hard times. And that's one thing that I really, really like. I love when somebody's going through something to be able to help them and try to find a way to love on them and pour into them. And so that's one of the things this past year I've really worked on as well, is being a better friend, being a better person, being a better accountability partner, and just being better all around.
I'm right there with you. Absolutely. Well, in regards to encouragement and maybe somebody listening today that's going through a tough time, what would you say to them? Like what do you kind of believe and understand just about going through tough times that you've found to be an encouragement that maybe could help someone else today?
I do it probably differently than most. I don't know anybody that does this, and it's just what I've come up with because it's kind of how I relate. Like, music and worship is a big part of my life, and I love listening to music, and I love singing, and I love singing to God. And I literally have a list of songs that I have as encouragement, and it's 15 to 20 songs. When I'm going through something, or when somebody's going through something, I start sending them songs. We'll just put like a little, word. Like, I don't know if you've heard "Eye of the Storm." So I'll take that song and literally, if I need it, I'll listen to it in the shower, and I'll pray and remind myself and like kind of focus myself and center myself back where I need to be. Like, all right, stop feeling sorry for yourself, bro. Get yourself back up, because it's coming for all of us. There's going to be every single day. There's going to be something in your life every day that happens that gives you an opportunity to have a bad day. You choose whether you want to empower that. I mean, I tell my kids, I ask my kids every other day or almost every day, who can ruin your day? And they look at me and they say, nobody. And I was like, that's right. Nobody has the power to ruin your day. If somebody walks up to me and spits in my face right now, I can wipe it off and I can move on and have a great day. Just kind of believing that, receiving that, being able to have people that you can send that to. When people are going through bad times, man, I love to be able to send them songs and send them encouragement and tell them that I'm thinking about them and pray for them and love on them. And so that's kind of my method of dealing with tough times and ways to fight through them.
Yeah, well, no, it's so encouraging to hear, and I think oftentimes we almost get nervous to bother people when they're going through tough times, or we feel like we don't want to ask them again because they're in the middle of all this. What like how do you push against kind of the negative thoughts that we feel?
Don't ask. I don't ask. I'll just send them something. People don't want to talk about things a lot of times when they're going through something.
That's good.
But
That's good.
When you send them a song and just say, hey, dude, listen to this song, I want you to listen to this song, and I want you to know I love you. And I know you're going through a tough time. It's going to be fine. And listen to this, believe it, receive it, and boom. Yeah. Listen, the end cards are always taken care of. In the end, it's going to be how it's going to be. I don't have anxiety. Don't have anxiety and worries. I mean, God's going to make it happen what He's going to make happen. So the more you stress about it, the more you try to change it, it ain't going to do nothing. It ain't going to do nothing but make yourself stress and make you worry about things that you can't control. So, don't worry about that stuff, man. Just send stuff. You can send stuff and be encouraging and don't act. And here's another thing too that I found. We're very quick to run beside people when they lose somebody in their life, and very quick to run beside somebody when they have stuff that go bad. And we're also very quick after that first week to leave them. And they're still grieving 3 months later, and they're still going through stuff. But now all the encouragement they got from those people that thought about them for a little bit go out the window. To me, like I set reminders in my phone, and I'll be like, 12 o'clock p.m., Siri, pray for so-and-so. Literally so I can stop what I'm doing and I can pray for somebody else. Or I'll say, Siri, remind me at 3 p.m. tomorrow to send so-and-so a message. So we can all do those things and not be invasive.
I like it. Very good advice. David Pollack with us right now on Unpacking It, college football analyst for ESPN. Of course, you see him on College Gameday every Saturday morning. And so you mentioned your two kids. How are they doing, and what's kind of the latest with them?
Well, Nicholas is about to turn 11, my oldest son, and we are cranking up youth league football.
Nice. We
just finished baseball, preceded by basketball, and whatever sport we are in is Nicholas Pollack's favorite sport, and he's going to the NBA, the MLB, or the National Basketball Association, or the or NFL. So whatever we're in, he is full head of steam in. And baby girl plays softball and does basketball, and she does musical theater. So we're just like everybody else, man. Like, the kids keep you busy, and we go from sport to sport and have a ton of fun. And they're getting, my kids are it's kind of cool, and y'all out there experience this a lot sooner than me, but we're starting to have some real conversations, and that's kind of fun that we can have back and forth and start learning about. And I told my kids, I'm like, listen, guys, when Daddy started driving, you could text and drive, and now it's against the law to text and drive. So if you see me touch my phone, I want you to be my accountability partner. Like, you're going to help me, hold me accountable for not doing that anymore. And just about every time I'm in the car, I touch my phone, and baby girl will be in the back and say, Daddy, don't touch your phone. I'm like, thank you, Leah. Thank you, Nicholas. So it's kind of cool when they get older and we're starting to have conversations and talk about things. It's awesome.
Wow. No, I love to hear that. That's really neat. And I've got to ask you, too. So my wife is due in a couple weeks, so it's kind of any day at this point. This will be our...
Congratulations, brother. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm fired up. Really.
Boy or girl?
It's a girl. So
first one?
Yeah, first one. So it's
nice.
it's big time, and so yeah, my life's about to change big time. So What kind of advice do you have for a first-time dad today?
Bro, the best advice I can give you is buy the Baby Wise Sleep Easy Solutions book.
Oh.
And I'm not talking about like in 15 minutes. I'm talking about like right now, in 15 seconds, go on your phone and order that thing. It's the method of teaching kids to sleep. It's the best thing. I was talking to Greg McElroy at our ESPN meetings, actually, just today, just recently.
Oh, nice.
And they were talking about he was talking about his 6-month-old that's trouble sleeping. I go, bud, buy this book, it'll change your life. And 6 months old. Go down at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they've never get out of their bed. They don't get up. Me and my wife have tons of time, me and her, and get to spend a lot of time together. But parenting is the biggest blessing you'll ever have in your life. So it'll be a lot of fun. Teach them how to sleep. Get the electronics out of the house and let them, and just hand them balls and let them play and go outside and do all that stuff, because there's too much electronics and all that stuff going on. But it's fun. It's as rewarding as it gets, man. It's a fun occupation. I'm definitely glad I'm a dad.
Oh, man. Well, I can't wait. I'm fired up about it and appreciate the advice. And I will definitely get that book, because that's actually been one of my biggest fears, is how I'm going to handle the sleep aspect of things. So I'm glad
Read it, dude. Read it and do it. Trust me. We did it 10 and 9 years ago. It's the best thing we ever did.
I'm glad to hear that. Very cool. All right, last thought as we wrap things up. I was curious to hear your thoughts on Mark Richt retiring from Georgia. Of course, your coach while you were at Georgia, and I'm curious what kind of analyst do you think he's going to be this year on ESPN and ACC Network?
Well, Coach called me and he's like, "Hey, will you put in a good word for me?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, Coach." I said, "Coach, listen to me, bro. You got a good personality. You're funny. You're smart. You're competitive. Like, you got a lot of things that make you good. That could make you good on TV." I said, "If you do your interviews like you do, if you do TV like you do your interviews, it's not going to go well." But you got to show your person. He didn't call me for the sugarcoating, so trust me, he knew what he was getting when he called me.
That's
but
right.
I was just like, "Man, listen, you got to show your personality and have fun with it." And so I think he'll do good. The ACC network's brand new, and they needed some voices for the ACC network. And I hope he shows everybody the true Coach Rick, who's got a really good, witty personality, kind of funny, and some dry humor. And if he does that, I think he'll be successful.
That's awesome. No, I'm excited to watch him. It'll be fun to see. Well, David, really appreciate you joining us again on Unpacking It. We always love catching up with you, and just appreciate your energy, passion, and all that you shared with us today. So thanks so much.
No problem, man. Have a good one.
Hope you enjoyed that conversation, and if you missed any part of it, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, and you can always catch up on any of our interviews and past shows. Just search the Unpacking It podcast anywhere podcasts are found. In recent weeks, we caught up with Brian Anderson, another broadcaster. We talked with former Ohio State head coach Jim Tressel. We talked with fantasy football expert Jason Moore and plenty of other great guests. And so be sure to subscribe anywhere podcasts are found. Just search the Unpacking It podcast. A couple takeaways from today's conversation with David Pollack. First up, I love what he said about what he asks his kids almost every day. When he says, "Who can ruin your day?" And the answer is nobody, because we would allow someone to ruin our day. And I love that perspective, because I got to be honest, a lot of times I'll allow the annoyances of other people, the annoyances of life, people that, they can get under your skin, they bother you, whether you look at social media, whether you're driving around. It's so easy to let somebody else ruin your day. And whether it's something that somebody says to you or something that you hear, and all of a sudden it starts to fester, and now your day's ruined, and there's no reason for that. You just got to move on, let it go. So I like that perspective. That was encouraging to me. And then also just his perspective on encouraging others and sending them a song, sending them something, short and sweet that can encourage them in whatever they're going through. And so I thought that was a great message as well. So awesome conversation with David Pollack. Look forward to watching him all throughout the fall on ESPN and, of course, College Gameday. So it's Unpacking It. Final segment is next.
Inspiring conversations and intriguing interviews. More Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson after this.
This is Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. It's time for our final segment of the day. We call it Unpack This, where I take a current sports story and relate it to the Bible and our own lives. So let's jump right in. Every team in the NFL wants to win the Super Bowl, but nobody really thinks the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year. But that's okay, because I love what their head coach, Sean McDermott, sent to all of these season ticket holders. In a letter, he wrote, "I'm excited about the progress we have made this offseason as we worked to execute our plan of building a strong foundation. This foundation, combined with true Buffalo toughness and love for one another, will be instrumental as we continue to chase our vision of bringing a championship to this city. We are committed to building a team that you can be proud of both on and off the field for many years to come." And what I love about that is they're not a championship team yet, but they have a championship vision. And so for you and I today, what are we focused on? What is the lens that we're looking at our goals, we're looking at our life through? Is it a championship vision? And so ultimately, I believe that it's most important that we fix our eyes on Jesus, and everything flows through a connection to him, an understanding of who he is and how much he loves us. And then when we look in Hebrews, it says, "Let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us." Get this. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. So we want to keep our eyes fixed on the champion. And so as we build, as we grow, as we mature, our eyes are fixed on him. So I hope you're willing to unpack that for yourselves, and really appreciate you joining me today, and hope you'll stay connected with us throughout the week on social media and on unpackingit.com. If you have any thoughts about today's show, you can email me, bryce@unpackingit.com. Until next time, I'm Bryce Johnson. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sins, he was resurrected, and through faith, I have been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a wonderful week. This has been Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson on Sports Byline USA and SiriusXM, Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio.